All content is publicly sourced and used under the USA Fair Use and UK Fair Dealing Guidelines. The things I say are strictly my opinion. Hello, for the second time again today, you guys. It's Bizzy Bee with the Royalty. It is still Monday, July the 13th. So, for this second video I'm posting today, I wanted to finish going over Chapter 2 of Lady C's book. The last video I did about it covered the first half of Chapter 2, which was Meghan's life from birth till she graduated college. The second half of Chapter 2 is Harry's life from birth till he graduates Sandhurst Military Academy. But the book does go into Charles and Diana's relationship quite a bit, and I'm not going to delve into all that because we've been there before. Everybody knows that story backwards, forwards, and sideways, so I don't see any reason to get into all that much detail about it, but I did write down some of the most important parts, and I will make a few direct quotes from the book. When I do, I will let you guys know. But here we go. I'll try to read my handwriting to you here. Okay, of course, Harry was born 3 years after Meghan, allegedly. I think it was more like 10 years after Meghan, because I think she's about 45, not 38. But that's neither here nor there. She did well at school, while Harry did not. They had many similarities because their parents' marriages ended. And then it talks a lot about the marriage of Charles and Diana. And now I want to read you an interesting quote from page 40 of the book. Diana had an advantage over Charles that neither Meghan's parents, Tom nor Doria, had over each other, but which Meghan shares with Diana. Both women, from early childhood, were products of broken homes. Both learnt from an early age how to navigate between opposing factions, how to play Peter off against Paul so that they would get what they wanted, but were soft and sweet. But both were also tough both were also tough beneath the ostensibly vulnerable exterior. Both had developed the tactical abilities unique to the children of broken homes. They had learnt at an early age how to palliate, negotiate, and use whatever tools worked well for them to achieve their goal, whatever that goal might be. Oh, I didn't switch the title card. Okay. So, as William and Harry grew up, they were wild, and word spread in aristocratic circles that they were wild. This is my summary now, you guys. I'm reading what I wrote. William was spoiled by his parents' tug-of-war, but Harry was much worse. Prince Philip and Her Majesty the Queen had little influence with Charles because the Queen Mother had undermined that relationship between them. Their relationship, the Queen Mother had undermined it so much to the point that they were almost estranged. They were polite like strangers would be, but there was no warmth between Charles and his parents. So Philip could not step in and intervene with Harry and William. All the royal family bemoaned Diana's discipline of the boys, or lack thereof. None of the BRF realized Diana encouraged their bad behavior. Diana actually encouraged, you guys, William and Harry's bad behavior. She encouraged Harry's rebellious streak especially. Diana told them, "I don't care what you do as long as you don't get caught." Although she didn't want them to treat the staff badly or to be rude to strangers, they should behave to the world at large in a royal manner. So it's developing to look like so far, you guys, that maybe a lot of the problems that Harry has today can be attributed to Diana. I hate to say it, but I was never, don't be mad at me for saying this, you guys, I was never a fan of Diana that much, but after reading this, it makes me even more so because she didn't have any discipline for the boys. And look at the way Harry's turned out. Princess Margaret even said that both of those boys were allowed to, quote, run wild. And something interesting, it said, Charles's generation of royals expected their closest friends to call them sir or ma'am. Charles's girlfriends had to call him sir, and the Queen Mother made her own brother call her ma'am, even in his own home. Now, Harry had second son syndrome. Diana overcompensated for this by giving Harry extra emotional security. She knew she had to look out for Harry. She knew that William would be okay. And she often said that Harry was an airhead like her. Harry used to complain the Queen Mother showed William more attention and ignored him. Lady C said she finds this hard to believe, but Lady C said she finds this hard to believe, but this shows Harry was aware William was more important from an early age. Harry was a sweet child who loved to cuddle with his mum and watch TV. He was an unashamed mama's boy. Once Harry started school, it was obvious he was as unacademic as Diana had been. He started kindergarten at age 3 at the same school William had attended. His progress was hindered because Diana let him skip any time he wanted and he preferred to be at home with her watching TV and cuddling. You guys, what does that say about his upbringing? I mean, is it any wonder he's turned out the way he has? And that Meghan was so easily able to manipulate him? Oh, I'm sorry. If Meghan had just come in there and acted like a mothering type, it would be easy to wrap him up. Anybody would be able to do that with enough cunning and psychological know-how. Going on. There were concerns the boys would grow up to be as hyper-emotional as Diana, which isn't good when carrying out royal duties. At age 5, Harry started Wetherby pre-preparatory school, where William had gone. His attendance was better. He was boisterous and fun-loving. He played sports, his physical prowess making up for his mental deficiencies. What is it? Sorry. Harry cried when Diana told the boys about the separation. William simply kissed her on the cheek and said he hoped she and Charles would both be happier now. So he's obviously showing more emotional maturity than Harry, because Harry's reaction is to cry, and William's is a much more grown-up, stable response. It was obvious Harry was as lacking mentally as Diana, but she did not care. Her message to him was, I did bad in school, and look how well I turned out. Doing well in school is not necessary to flourish in life. She encouraged him to feel good about himself despite his poor academic performance. And Diana's passing hit Harry the hardest. He shut down emotionally and was very angry. So now it goes on to talk about his time at Eton. One person who is a former student at Eton and who is familiar with the way the school works said he never would have been accepted, Harry, if he had not been Prince Henry of Wales. He simply did not possess the intelligence. Another person familiar with Eton School said they had to dumb down the tests for Harry and he still failed. So they gave Harry an alternate version of the test that they dummied down so that he would pass it because they knew that he was lacking mentally. And he still didn't pass these watered-down tests. Now there's a quote I want to read to you guys from page 54 of the book. Let me see here. 54. Okay. Now this is about, well, you'll see. About the tests. Many of these claims were borne out by the findings of an employment tribunal in 2005 where Sarah Forsyth, an art mistress, sued Eton for unfair dismissal. She maintained that she had been asked by the head of art, Ian Burke, quote, to assist Prince Harry with text for his expressive art project, unquote, for his art A-level examination. During the trial, there was evidence suggesting that Eton had not only thrashed around to find positive ways of marking Harry's entrance examinations, but that thereafter they had struggled to have him pass his further exams. The headmaster, Tony Little, deputy headmaster, the Reverend John Putafoot, Ian Burke, and other members of quote, staff were bluntly accused by the tribunal of being unsatisfactory witnesses whose words were unreliable, unquote, when it found in favor of Miss Forsyth. The tribunal concluded that while it was not called upon to find whether Eton had assisted Harry in cheating on his exams, this was because it is in no part of this tribunal's function to determine whether or not it was legitimate. This is for Edexcel, the examination board. Okay, unquote. That's the end of the passage I'm reading. So it goes on to say that Harry was not liked to Eton. He was angry and rubbed everyone's noses in the fact that he was a member of the royal family. Harry was competing against... Okay, this one's interesting, you guys. Harry at Eton was competing against a Jewish student from another school. Harry backed him into a corner and said some things to this student that were not very nice, and I'm sure you can imagine what kind of things they were. Harry didn't like school, and he acted out. He drank, smoked, and dabbled in other things. The teachers cut him slack, not due to who he was, but due to his mother's tragic death. You see, that's where they messed up. They shouldn't have cut him slack. Okay, so it goes on to talk about his gap year. The Australian part of Harry's gap year was not altogether successful. He carried out no official engagements, but the Australian people had to pay part of the $1.3 million cost for his protection officers. Echoes of the future, maybe? He returned to London briefly before leaving for Lesotho for the second half of his gap year. While in London, he was photographed stumbling out of different nightclubs with random women, always with a drink in his hand. There was even a skirmish with the paparazzi outside of a club. An ITN reporter, Tom Bradby, was invited to do a half-hour documentary of Harry working at an orphanage in Lesotho during the second part of his gap year. The documentary raised $2 million for the Lesotho Red Cross. Harry had earned a party boy reputation, but this was a turning point in the public's perception of him. He appeared to have a heart. Then there was his friend's 22nd birthday party, where he came in that costume. And I know you all know what I'm talking about. He was one of the public's favorite royals. From that time until after his marriage, his popularity increased until he was the most popular member of the royal family, right behind the Queen. In April 2006, Harry completed his training at Sandhurst. He was commissioned a cornet, a second lieutenant in the Blues and Royals. Alright, that's it, you guys. So, I read the first half of Chapter 3 yesterday, which covers Meghan from the time she graduated college till she met Harry. And I'm just assuming that the second half of Chapter 3 will be Harry's life from Sandhurst till he met Meghan. But I have to say, what I read yesterday about Meghan's life after college till meeting Harry, I was very disappointed in, because it did not mention one time the word yacht, or one time the word escort. So I thought this book was going to tell the truth about Meghan. Where is the fact that she was an escort and a yacht girl? Doesn't mention it. Very disappointed. So you guys, there's my P.O. box. Again, there's my 3 girls and 1 boy. Myrtle, Edward, Valerie, and Gemma. And tips are greatly appreciated. There's my PayPal info. Tweet me. There's my tweet information. And thank you